Dr. Ciri.
And I'm Dr. Ava, and we are Sisters in Medicine.
Today we are going to be answering your questions directly from our Instagram page. One of the first questions that we have is, can you all explain syphilis and trichomonas since you did not cover them in your STD video?
Right, how can we forget to talk about syphilis and trichomonas? Syphilis and trichomonas are both treatable, meaning they're curable. The issue is trying to catch the disease early before it starts giving you symptoms that could be permanent, especially for syphilis. If you let it go on too long, you can have permanent neurological damage. So it's very important that we treat it with antibiotic.
One of the other things we should point out is to treat trichomonas, all it takes is a few pills, whereas to treat syphilis, you need an injectable antibiotic in order to be cured from syphilis. The next question we have is, do you think Usher really gave all those women herpes?
Oh my God. Well, like we said, herpes is an STD that you can't cure forever. Meaning, once you have it in your system, you have it forever. You may not have the outbreaks, you may not develop the outbreaks as often, but once it's in your bloodstream, it's always in your bloodstream. Now, does Usher have herpes? I don't know. I never saw his medical records, so I can't say for sure that he does. But if he does have herpes, he's gonna have herpes for life. Now, he can definitely transmit the herpes virus to his sexual encounters, especially if he doesn't tell them about it ahead of time, and especially if he's having an outbreak at the time that he's having a sexual encounter. That will help it be transferred from one person to another a lot easier. And even condoms sometimes will not protect you from herpes based on where the outbreak is. So, like I said, I can't say for sure if he has it or not because I'm not his doctor. I have not seen his records. But if he does have it, yes, it's definitely transferable from one person to the next.
So, short answer, folks, we don't know. We weren't there. The next question, were you ever discouraged from being a pre med by counselors or other naysayers?
Absolutely. There's always negative people out there that will always tell you that your dream cannot be accomplished. I mean, for me, I've had many people tell me that I can't do it. I've had many people telling me, what are you doing? What are you thinking? It's never going to happen. It takes too long. It's too hard. It's too difficult. It's too expensive. There's always going to be that one person or many people that may try to discourage you. So, to answer the question, yes, I've had people tell me that. But I knew what I wanted to do, and I stayed focused, and I kept going.
Right. Same here. I have had a number of people tell me that I shouldn't be a doctor, and including counselors, pre med advisors. But you push through, you do what you want. I mean, the other thing to think about or to remember when you have counselors telling you that you shouldn't try to go to medical school or that you shouldn't pursue a career in healthcare, remember they aren't doctors. They didn't go to medical school. So, how do they know? So, if you have questions about how to get into medical school and what types of things you need to have on your application, what types of grades you need, go straight to the medical schools you're interested in, talk to their deans and things like that, because you are going to be met with people who tell you you can't do it, just like we were. So, short answer, yes, we.
We were told that we could not.
Next question. What did you mean when you said that the theories about vaccines causing autism have been debunked?
What we mean by that is that there's been many, many studies and researches out there that have been done to prove that this is not a theory that is true. That's what we mean by that. Do you want to elaborate on that?
On top of there being evidence out there that says that that's not the case, you can't prove causality, meaning you can't prove that one thing causes another. You can only put out associations and say vaccines are associated with autism, but that does not mean they cause autism. The other thing is the study that showed that association was an invalid study, meaning it wasn't done appropriately, and so the data is not reliable. So
Right.
that's what we mean when we say that those theories have been debunked. Next question. In your flu video, you mentioned that It does not, quote unquote, it does not make sense for the flu shot to give someone the flu. What does that mean?
Okay, so the flu vaccine, what it does is it helps your body make antibodies against the flu. When you get the flu shot, you need approximately 2 weeks for your body to start developing all these antibodies before it can start protecting. So between when the time you get the flu shot and that 2 week period, when you start developing the antibodies fully, you can catch the flu in that period, but not from the flu shot. It's just from you catching the flu like anybody else would. Hopefully that answers the question.
And if it didn't, please message us again. The next question. In the video where you talked about your journeys, can you elaborate on how you went about picking your colleges and medical schools? What types of things did you consider?
For me, for picking my college, I wanted to be close to home. I didn't want to be too far from home. And so I kind of applied to different colleges that would be in the vicinity of where I live or within 1 to 2 hours of where I live. That's how I was able to pick a college. Once I got my application letters, I just decided to go to a college that felt the most comfortable to me and the one that was also at a good distance from home so that I wasn't too homesick. How about you? How'd you pick your college?
So, same exact thing. Being from Chicago, I had a lot of options for colleges, and so I applied to all of the big names in Chicago. And in terms of deciding where I wanted to go to college, my brother actually picked where I was going to go to college. It was close to home. The colors were my favorite colors. It was a great name. You know, it was a brand name school. So, yeah.
You didn't have to move out of state. Like me, I did not have to move out of state. And I kind of like that because I could just drive home. It was only an hour and a half away from home. So driving home on any weekend or occasion was possible.
Right, same here. And I was only about 40 minutes from my mom's house when I went to college. So it was very close, very convenient. I still lived on campus, but I was able to go back home when I wanted to. Oh, and they asked about medical schools. So I guess the things that I thought about for medical schools was the location, because I also wanted to be close to home for that. Because when you're in medical school, you're spending so much time studying for tests that when you do have free time, you want to be able to spend it with your family without necessarily having to travel. Something else to think about is that there are certain exams that you have to take when you get into medical school called the STEP exams. And one of them in particular is a clinical exam, meaning you kind of simulate clinical encounters like as if you're in a clinic. And those exams are only offered in certain cities. And so it's really convenient if you are in medical school in a city that offers that exam. The other thing to think about is match rate. Medical schools put those numbers out there to let the people applying know that we train our students so well that 98% of them end up matching into residency successfully, or whatever the percentage may be. But they publish those numbers, so those are something that you want to know before you apply as well. And you also want to know what type of degree the medical school offers if you care about that kind of thing. Some medical schools offer DOs and some medical schools offer MD. So those are the things I considered. What about you?
Everything you just said was that's really everything you just said. Like you touched on all the points.
We got another question in our stories. How did you guys balance your personal life and academics during medical school?
For me personally, personal life, you kind of have to put that on the back burner because in medical school, it's so much stuff to do, so much material, so much studying, so much, you know, there's so much you have to do in the books that when you think about it, you don't really have the time for personal things because it's the material aspect of it is insane. I mean, you're gonna have a personal life, but that's gonna have to come second. So just knowing that up front made it a lot easier for me to be able to balance the two because I already knew that it was gonna be medical school first and myself second. So it made it a lot easier for me to come to term with that because I already kind of had my mind and myself prepared, knowing that if I go to med school and now I'm in med school, it's not going to be
That
easy.
is all very true. And the reason I laughed at that question is because of the word balance in that question. And there is no such thing as work life balance in medical school, I don't think. I think the scale is tipped in such a way that medical school is the heaviest, and the rest of your life doesn't get very much attention. And that's just the reality of it. You are learning a lot of information in a very short time. 4 years is not a long time if you really think about the amount of material that you're digesting. And on your first day of medical school, someone at some point is going to tell you that what you're doing is essentially trying to drink water from a broken fire hydrant. You're not even taking it all in. So much.
So, right.
Things that you normally would do in college, like going to the movies, going out to eat, or spending extra time with family, dating, those things kind of take a backseat to what you're trying to accomplish in the very short 4 years that you are given for medical school.
I agree. I agree. But it's not impossible. It's doable. If you already know that, the scale is tipped, like you said, you go in doing what you're supposed to do, not worrying about your personal life, because that's second, you know?
Let your families know what you're about to get into, because and that's what I had to do. I had to tell people I'm going to have my phone off for multiple hours a day. I'm going to be MIA for weeks at a time, and I'm not dead. I'm just studying. So don't worry. Yeah, so just make sure the people that are around you who are used to spending time with you and used to hanging out with you, make sure they know what you've gotten yourself into so that they can be more supportive instead of constantly nagging you about where you are, why you aren't going out, and things like that. The next question we got, it was in a comment. Someone wanted us to comment on dating in medicine.
Did it specify dating in medical school versus residency versus after you're done? Or they didn't really specify?
They didn't specify, but the person that left the comment, I think they're in residency already.
Dating in medical school, dating in residency, dating afterwards, that's three different things because you're in three literally different stages of your career and stages of your life. But let's talk about dating in residency. You can date in residency, that's fine. I mean, you have a personal life. You're a person, you're an individual, you're human. However, however, make sure that you don't ever let a relationship take over what your purpose is and what your mission is. Your purpose is to take care of patients and learn and study. Your mission is to finish residency in good terms and finish your exams and make sure you prepare yourself enough to pass your board exam. And so, getting into a relationship or getting married, those kind of things can kind of distract you from what you're supposed to be doing, especially when you're in residency. Sometimes you feel like you made it and you're done, but you haven't made it until you pass that board exam.
Right.
You know? So, dating is fine, but just have somebody who's supportive who will understand that you're still going to have to put in the time, very hard time, to still study because at the end of the day, you still need to prepare for your board.
Right. I agree with all of that. And I think the same is true for medical school. You can date in medical school at your own risk. Um, you're someone who maybe, I don't know, doesn't necessarily know how to pick the right partners, and you find yourself in relationships that are full of drama, you may want to avoid dating while in medical school. But if you're someone who kind of has a good eye for, what a good partner is supposed to be and what you're looking for, then you can date in medical school. Just make sure that that person, like we said before, knows what you've gotten yourself into, and that they will likely not hear from you very often, and if they do, it'll be for literally minutes at a time. It's possible, but I personally would not recommend dating in medical school or dating seriously in medical school unless you were already in a relationship before.
Just wait. If you could, just wait. You just want to focus on your studies, and that's just for a short period of time. It's not forever.
I think that's all the questions.
Okay. Well, keep the questions coming. We like the questions. We like to clarify things. We like to inspire people. We want to educate you. We want to answer everything that you need us to answer. So just keep the questions coming.
So until next time, everyone, we will see you later. Bye.
Bye.